thing. All right, we are live. I had to give it a second to click over there. Hey, you know what? 5 seconds is a little better than 7 minutes, Paul. I'm just saying. Sometimes you got a little downtime. Oops. That's the last time I will make fun of you for that. First of all, I want to say thank you for running the live.
That's a little better.
I guess second of all, first I want to rag on you. Second of all, I want to say thank you for running the live last week. So really appreciate you, brother, while I was out of town. We got a special guest tonight, you guys. We got Matt Cashion of Cashion Rods hanging out with us. Matt, how we doing, man?
Man, we are doing great, dude. Here we are in winter. It's show season right now. So, dude, we're talking as much fishing as we are going to right now. All the shows that we're doing around the country. So it always pumps you up. Like, I don't know what it is about January. You roll over the end of the year and January comes, dude, you get pumped up talking about fishing.
Oh, yeah. And it's awesome that you're able to be around all that stuff right now. We are in the deep frozen tundra of Michigan, and we're about as far away from fishing as you possibly can be. So I'm super jelly of you being in that situation. We're about to go ice fishing this weekend. Paul, we still on for that? That's happening?
I got to charge everything up tonight.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night.
Where are my Cashion ice fishing rods? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to need those.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you go warm that tee up right now, it'll probably be warm enough for you this weekend.
Yeah.
All right. It'll be just about sipping temperature.
It'll be about sipping temperature by the time I get on the ice. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. That's right.
It is. The weather app says it feels like -1 right now in Michigan. That's where we're at. So, yeah, I took my dog for a walk. My face froze off. It was awesome. All right. You guys can tell I've been off for a week because I didn't even do the intro right. What's up? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Aggressively Average Anglers podcast. We're excited to hang out with Matt tonight. We're talking American-made rods. And yes, I did put a hard-hitting question at the top of the – you saw it, Paul. I had to put something in the thumbnail. You got to play a YouTube game.
You got to grab the audience and drag them in, even if they don't want to be here.
So if you guys don't know, Matt with Cashion Rods. Cashion Rods is making American-made rods right in the heart of North Carolina. These are high-quality products. We have used them a whole bunch, so that is why we have them on the show. We want to talk about it. And the question is American-made really better? And you don't have to answer that right now, Matt, because I know how you feel about it. But we're gonna answer it throughout the show. I think we're gonna get into it. But first of all, we gotta warm things up, Paul. So let's do a Q of the D to kick things off, shall we? Oh, I guess do we have the members only live? I should probably announce that we will be doing the next one because I forgot to do that. I'm so bad at this show now. 1 week off.
He leaves for 20 minutes. He comes back. He forgot who he is.
I'm literally falling apart. So we did our members only live last night, you guys, for January. It was awesome. We did 2 giveaways. It was a blast. If you guys want to hang out with us, click join below. You can find out what being a member is all about and support the show if you want to. We appreciate it. And then our next one will be February. Is that February 18th? Is that when it is?
2/18, baby.
All right. February 18th. Yes, that should be fine. I'm on a cruise maybe the week before that. I think we're good. All right, whatever. Yeah. So February 18th. Sure, we're doing it. We'll be back for another members only live. We do giveaways on those. It'd be a blast. All right. Now we can do Q of the D. Let's get into it.
We have this thing called Q of the D. It's question of the day. It's just a little icebreaker. But this one. So Matt, I don't know how. Are you like a hardcore angler? Are you a casual angler, or are you just a doctor? What are your proclivities?
Yeah, man, it's really funny. Everybody, I'm sure y'all know, and you talk to them, man. You start out, you sure do fish a whole lot more before you get into the fishing industry. I talk more fishing now.
Yep.
Than we actually go. But man, I go every chance I get. Absolutely every chance I get. From ultralights, river fishing, BFS rods on the river, backwater fishing.
This guy's man after my own heart.
Yeah, bass fishing, hardcore power bass fishing. To the inshore game, we love to go play in the salt here, from 6 to 8 inches of water, chasing redfish, which is a great time to go and do that. I'm trying to actually go do that this Saturday, if the wind will work out right, all the way to 65 miles offshore. So we chase it here, man. We're very blessed where we live, and a lot of opportunities. But yeah, man, I love it. I mean, when you talk about it all the time, it gets you pumped up. And I've got two boys too. My girl she's she's dabbling in it. But man, it's just a whole nother level of excitement as
How
we
old are
start
your
to
kids?
start that journey. So the oldest is 14, and then I've got a girl that's 12, and then my youngest son is 7.
Dude,
Awesome.
you're hitting all the best
You got
fishing
this.
ages.
Yeah.
Like you're past like if I don't have a juice box, I'm not going out. Like you've passed that stage with all of them. I
We're
think
past it.
you're in a good spot. So my
They're like
question then
10
this
juice boxes. But
exactly.
yeah,
This
sure.
applies then. So the question would be if you could only pick one place to fish, but you could fish there as much as you want forever, but you can only pick one place. Where's that place going to be?
Yeah, and it would be the type of fishing
Yeah.
doing, man. I love that inshore river fishing. But it's not fair because where we're at and we're fishing, dude, you can go anywhere in the world from
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
So as long as you got enough gas or you could pass a gas station and fill up, you can go anywhere. But yeah, river fishing for sure, man. Down east in the salt, speckled trout, drum. Man,
I'm
it's
super
pretty
jealous.
exciting.
I'm super jealous because I've seen a bunch of videos and like we've got friends that are down there and like every time I'm shocked that people don't do that all the time. It's hard to imagine doing it once and being like, oh, I'll do something else. Like, why? Why?
Why would
Sounds
you do
friggin' awesome,
anything
dude.
else?
It sounds so
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I'm super jealous.
Now the
Love that.
challenge, what brings you back to bass though, and the lakes are the challenge, man. Like really trying to figure something out, put something together. I think is really what draws you back into that bass world, even tournament fishing.
And there is nothing because it's such a and I hate to say this because it's not always true, but it's a pretty consistent bite. Like you kind of generally know like what's going to work, and like yeah, you're gonna have some days that are better than others, but you can usually go out and string together 5-6 catches in like a half a day. Like you can kind of count on it. But there's a level of mystery and there's a level of just like how big is that fish going to be? And like once you've done it like 2,000 times, you'd think it would wear off, but it really doesn't. Like it just gets like more. I get like almost like more excited to see what's on the other end half the time. And then like the level of excitement when a big fish actually does, you get lucky enough to catch a real big one. It's 10 times better every time. It does not go down. It only that excitement only goes up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I hard agree on the river, man. The river is such a blast. Like up here, we're lucky enough to be in like smallmouth territory. We got northern pike. Like a lot of folks end up with pickerel, like the little snotty brethren of the pike. But we get the big mean green pike snot missiles out in the river, and they'll sneak up on you, dude. You're like flipping a jig. You're like trying to get into big smallies, and you end up with that giant pike that just nabs it. That is so fun.
Dinosaur.
I was fishing a tournament like up north-ish or northern-ish Michigan, I'll say. We were in Whitehall, Michigan, and I was flipping football jigs for like way back in this river section in pockets looking for smallmouth. Ended up with a giant pike, one of my biggest of the year. It was sick. And it's hard to beat that out of a kayak too. I'll say that. So yeah,
especially if you landed it, man, and you got your jig back.
Yep, I did. I will always get not always, but ideally always. But yeah, it's fun, man.
As like what transition to the show me. So we got a couple of questions. So we talked a little bit about Cashion Rods, and we talked about I want to talk a little bit about North Carolina. But before we get into that, I want to talk about your background. So you are the founder of Cashion Fishing Rods. And my question is like, my first question would be like, what made you choose fishing as like, here's going to be my outlet? Because you have a skill set. I want you to talk about your skill set, what you went to school for. But then I want you to talk about like, what made you be like, what I'm going to do? I'm going to build fishing rods. Because I think a lot of us think like, oh, if I was in the fish industry, like I would go make soft plastics, or I would like be a tournament angler. I would do something. But like, I think the number, and you can tell the number of people who are like, no, I'm going to start my own company and we're going to make fishing rods. That is not a lot of people. So kind of want to hear some of the background and give the folks a chance to peek behind the curtain on kind of how you got where you got.
No, and I appreciate that question. And man, I wanted to be a tournament angler, but I wasn't good enough.
Welcome to the show.
I had to figure out how in the world I could break into the industry somehow. It wasn't going to be setting hooks. But man, it's been an awesome journey. dude. And first off, I just got to say glory to God. You're going to see the story. Is it? We're going to kind of walk through it, but man, looking back where we're sitting now versus when you're going through it and starting out, man, you can see God's fingerprints all over it, but it's kind of hard to see when you go through it. So, man, I grew up in North Carolina. Grew up on High Rock Lake, and just loved to fish all the time. Really fell in love with it. Got in college at East Carolina, down east. Got my degree in chemistry, and I went to graduate school at actually out in Austin. Got my master's out in Austin, Texas, and then I went to Virginia Tech for my PhD.
Is that
And
like 9 years of college?
oh gosh,
100.
what are you talking about?
20 years?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yes.
yes, yes, it was.
It's very
That's
impressive.
crazy.
telling you,
I hear you.
paid out that
Impressive.
I paid
Yeah.
that first tuition check, and I was like, "Yeah, we're getting out of here as fast as possible."
Immediately. Immediately.
Not- and I was blessed that I was in a field like in graduate school. They actually pay you to go for the research because you're
Yeah.
doing research.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, it's more money than I'd ever made in my life, but it's way below the poverty line.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like you're still able to have a good time. But that was part of it. Like I graduated in '09 with my PhD in chemistry,
Mhm.
my concentration in polymer science within chemistry. And y'all were pretty young. Y'all were much younger than me, but '09 was not a great job environment.
That is when I
Yeah.
graduated, sir. I graduated
Is
in
it?
2010, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
right now, the first question: will you relocate? And do you want to make $4 or $5 a day? Because that's all you're getting.
I ran away
Not-
from my.
It was not a good time to be looking for a job. I can promise you that.
We
I-
both ditched our home state. Everybody in our home state, we
See you guys.
graduated in
Yeah, we had
2010,
to-
same
you
time
go
from the
peek around.
same university. We're like, what state? 14 states away from here can I go work at? I mean, you went to Minnesota. I
Yeah.
went to Virginia, dude. I was like, we're out.
Wow.
Yeah. Couldn't get
So
a
we
job.
hear you loud and clear.
Yep.
Yeah, they weren't beating down my door, but like you said, I've been in school forever, man, and I was ready to
Right.
get out. And luckily, like I said, you make a little stipend, but man, you don't make any real money. I was ready to be able to afford a boat and be able to afford something. And just start my deal. And dude, they were not beating down my door to give me a job. So I applied for jobs, got turned down for jobs all the time. I had gotten married at that point. I got married in '08. My wife had a great job in Raleigh in the RTP. We're both from North Carolina. So she was working in clinical trials at the time, and she would skip off to work, and this is how bad. Like we couldn't afford our own house, so we were living with my in-laws at the
Been there.
time. Yeah. And so, my father-in-law would go to work every day. My wife would go to work every day, and I was there with my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And so you talk about some motivation to make something happen, try to figure something out.
I'm
I
out.
love them to death, but man, it just wasn't a great situation. I was getting madder by the
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
Just at the situation, because I was a kept man. I literally stayed at home, applied for jobs, got turned down for jobs. But in
Yeah.
graduate school, I was making epoxies for a guy who did carbon fiber work. And lo and behold, that's what a fishing rod blank is made out of. And I had some ideas to maybe play around with the formulation of epoxies and see how they worked and so forth. And guys, it was just as organic as it could be. And never went into graduate school, never went into school with a plan of, hey, I want to build fishing rods.
Yeah.
But it just really kind of fell into place from a standpoint of my wife having a job and me not having to me not getting a job allowed me the freedom to make that happen. So man, it started as small as you could start with just me in my father-in-law's garage, and then my wife and I moved into an apartment and moved into just rented one of the garages there by the apartment, hired my first employee, and man, I mean, no AC or anything, and Josh was just
Dude.
pounding it out. We didn't even have a bathroom for him to use. He'd have to go in the clubhouse at the apartment complex to use
Attaboy.
the bathroom.
They
And
love
just
that.
Oh, dude. I mean, just the whole entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
start in the garage And now we're blessed, man. We've got the best blank and rod builders on the planet.
Heck yeah.
We've just grown from as small as you could be to a full team of real professionals in the composite industry. And we just bought a building, just bought a brand new building. We're going to be moving Cashion Rods
Whoa,
next month. So we got a
Nice.
21,000 square foot building that we're going to be filling up. So we filled up our current building where we're
Yeah.
at now, and we bought a brand new building. Not well, new to us building,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we're going to be
Right.
moving, man. So
So wait,
we
I have to break in. So I'm in production. I work on the purchasing side of production. So for my career. So how is that? That's like front of house. That's production, shipping, warehouse too.
yeah, we don't take a ton of warehouse
Yeah.
storage because I mean, man, we make it. So we
I was just worried
we
about
try
raw
to make what
materials.
needs to be made.
I'm
Absolutely, and we
I'm thinking about
distribute right there.
rolls, all that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure you got roll
Absolutely.
stock. I'm sure you got a buttload of glue, and then you got all the finished product, and then you got all the whip that's probably sitting back there. So I have to imagine you need something.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. So that's one of the harder parts of what we do, man.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. The ins and outs of that.
I'm supply chain, so I lived through COVID, so I can definitely tell you
Did
all the
you?
problems that exist, every single one when you're getting stuff. Well, and that actually breaks into a question that I had. I totally ruined your story. I'm gonna go back, but
Way to go, Paul.
well, we talk about Made in America, and
Way
I
to
saw
let the guy talk.
I
I'm
know I'm
kidding.
ruining it all. And I was watching Matt. I was watching the video you did on production
Mhm.
for the rods because I was just curious, and you made the video, so I'm like I'm watching it. And you guys talked about like you're making a lot of the components here in the US. You're buying components from companies in the US. And one of the things that we saw was a massive backup. There was this tidal wave of product that never came. The fishing industry was hungry for, anglers were out there with their free time, in lockdown going fishing, which is great. But then a lot of these companies that people we were talking to were like, oh, I can't get a container of this reel that I want to launch by August, but it's not going to come out till January or whatever. Or my rods from blah, 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 or, they're not coming in. Nothing's coming in. I won't see it for 16 weeks instead of
Right.
6.
Wild times.
What was
those
that?
were.
What was that like for you guys having a lot of the components be from here? You saw the lockdowns and all that other stuff to deal with, but did that kind of did that kind of give you guys a leg up? Like, what was COVID like for you guys, especially being a made in America product?
Oh, I feel guilty. Can I be honest?
Yes.
Is that okay?
100%.
Yeah.
2020 might have been the greatest year of my life.
That's what I expected. That's what I expected to hear, frankly.
Yeah.
Say more.
You were set up right. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So how'd you guys handle all that?
We just made fishing rods.
You kept doing your thing because you had all the stuff. It was right there.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, we just made fishing rods. Yeah. And
That's
people
so good.
wanted to buy fishing rods.
Yeah. And so, and another
That's
question I had
so
when you were
good.
going through that story was, you talk about being as small as you can be. And one thing that's terrifying for me, because I have an entrepreneur spirit, but I have like a steady job. So I'm like, I don't want to give that up. I really like
Paul likes to dip his toe in the water. He's always
I
messaging
love
me.
it.
So just so Matt knows, I am the entrepreneur that actually does the business thing. So
Yes.
like I built a couple of businesses, sold one. I'm currently working with one right now, and like we're skyrocketing our scaling
Awesome.
this year. But like Paul's always texting me. He's like, you know what we should do? And he throws me a business idea. I'm like, yeah, bro, whenever you're ready. And like,
I'm never doing that.
I'm ready,
idea,
Paul.
I make $1 million ideas and I just never make the thing. That's what it is. But like,
So, he's a dabbler.
But when I think about that, like, in that situation, I'm like, damn, how do you, like, are you selling to like neighbors, and then are you selling to like at fishing shows, and then are you like how, like what was that trajectory? Like, what was the deal that flipped it? Because I look at that and I'm so impressed by not only the gumption and the elbow grease, but really, I think at the end of the day, it's just that persistence of like, I make a good product, I'm excited to sell it, and somebody's gonna buy this, and it's gonna be the best. Like, that's what I would like to hear about, because I am terrified of how that happened, and it's super impressive.
Well, Paul, if you would have let me finish my story.
Owned.
I got it. Yeah,
we
hit the
could
mute
got
button.
there.
Matt, go ahead.
No, you're
I'll be
man,
in
you're
charge now.
100. That's exact, Paul. You obviously, y'all know it. You know that's exactly what it's like, man. You have to have the right situation, and people ask me too, like, hey, I want to start my business. I want to start a business, right? Well, all right, either how long can you go without a paycheck, all right, or how can you moonlight it and just bootstrap it? Because I mean, you still gotta have income coming in. It just takes money to live, man.
Need a sandwich.
You got yes, exactly right.
One a week,
And
one sandwich a week.
you know, Jeff has probably figured it out, but for me, there is no, like, people just, what's the secret sauce? There is no secret sauce, man.
Mhm.
It's like, how are you willing to grind? Right? Are you willing to work hard? I mean, that is the secret sauce. And that's just all there is to it, man. So yeah,
Buckling up.
that was it. 2010, I formed the LLC, and 2011, we did a grand total sales revenue of $600.
Let's
Total.
go.
Let's friggin' go.
Let's go, baby.
We
And
did
that was
it.
one customer. One
Yes.
customer.
That's
He
a good
just bought a
sale.
few rods. And
Yeah.
man, you know, I grew up, our accountant was the father of one of my good buddies I grew up with. And I'll never forget, man. He sat me down. He said, son, what are you doing?
No.
Classic.
No, he didn't.
$600.
No,
Right?
he didn't.
Yo, 100%.
Yeah.
And then 2012, we did the Raleigh Bass and Saltwater Show, first show that we'd ever done. And we sold 36 rods, and I was
Oh.
blown away that somebody actually bought our product. And so it's been off ever since. You nailed it. It's been grassroots from the beginning. I see this industry as you come in two ways, the bottom or the top, right? Coming in from the bottom, you start with the product. Like for us, it's all about the product. It's about the product and trying to tell people about it. And then we're trying to grow our marketing budget to be able to tell people about it.
Yeah.
Or you come into the industry and say, man, I'd like to get into this industry. And you come in with a large marketing budget from the top, and you can come up with some cool products and some innovation. But man, everything we do is based on our circumstances. We didn't come in with the $1 million marketing budget. I was very blessed. My dad loaned me $2,000 to start the business. And I made sure to
Nice.
pay him back as soon as I could to make sure there was no interest
I
or
was like, you don't want that
anything
interest.
like that.
Nobody wants that.
Absolutely.
Dad
No,
interest is impossible.
it's exactly right. And so,
Yeah. Well, you can pay dad interest in beer and potato chips. I can confirm.
But they'll never let
awesome.
you forget.
Yeah.
I'll be reaping the benefits of that for the rest of my life. I promise you.
Matt, I started this business.
Yeah,
If it weren't for me.
Yeah, that's right. So
Classic
yeah,
dad.
man, that was the journey, man. We just grassroots it all the way from, and now, I think you guys know our marketing director, and we've got a real big time production manager,
Yeah.
operations manager, our national sales director. So our team, we've been able to just grow it and afford, what we can do. We own all of our own equipment. We own our own building now.
Yeah.
And so, man, it's just willing to pour back into it. Believe in yourself.
I love it, dude. I love that you're doing it right. Like I definitely would like people to recognize more often that like those grassroots builds, they tend to be able to last longer because you put in the work, the sweat equity, the blood, sweat, and tears, and you built it the right way based on the product versus a lot of folks, they'll come storming into the market, they fizzle out quicker than you would believe, right? We don't hear about them ever again. But that is a really cool story. Thank you for sharing that on here. And I want to call out a couple folks in chat here. We had Fishing with Ali G here with a $5 super chat. Good to see, giving glory to God. Way to stay humble. So appreciate that. Also, I love how on StreamYard it says Burly Fire, Burly Fire, Burly Fire. That's a custom emoji that only shows up on YouTube. Wild. But appreciate you, Ali G, for the support there. And then there were a few questions. Do we want to do a couple questions, Paul, before moving to the next topic? Or yeah. So 505 Fishing had asked, how did you meet John Cruz? How did you guys start working together? So I want to make sure we mix that in there. So Matt, how'd you meet John Cruz?
Well, dude, this Raleigh Bass, now that I think about it, this Raleigh Bass and Saltwater show has been huge for our company.
Between that
So
and your dad,
yeah, where would we be?
Mostly dad, but also
Yeah.
this sports show.
Absolutely. So yeah, we that's the cool thing about our industry, man. What do they say? It's the biggest small or the biggest small industry that there is.
Yeah.
It is all about relationships. And so
Yeah.
John and I just met at that show and just shook hands and and it's just like, man, if the opportunity ever surfaced, we'd love to work together. And the opportunity surfaced a few years later. And man, really enjoyed John, ultimate professional. He is my bodybuilding workout mentor.
Let's go.
It hasn't quite taken yet,
Didn't take.
but I'm
But
still
now without the
hoping.
mentor, you got no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Dude, that's awesome.
I love that. I think we did have another one in here. Lots of folks saying like, hey, I got my first Cashion Rod around 2020. Like, it obviously was a great time to pick it up. A lot of folks that have picked them up either within the last couple of years or so and have really enjoyed them. So that's cool to hear. I mean, we came to you guys because so many people had been talking about it, especially when it was really like the straw that broke the camel's back, Paul, was when the Element series, especially the BFS Element came out.
Yeah.
We were like, all right, like we got to put these to work. Yeah, because we had one. We had the Icon BFS that Paul had for a while.
Nice rod.
Did you have two? Maybe you had another one?
I had two. I had a medium.
You had a medium? Yeah. So, but we're going to be putting them to work this year because we got like the swim bait rod, the jig rod, the 7.3 medium heavy. We got the BFS.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we got a lineup to beat the tar out of this year. So, we put that American muscle to work. And then somebody had asked about how did you come up with the weave carbon fiber handle? So the weave grip that you guys have, what I believe we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's it,
just
man.
Make sure I got it right.
Yeah, so that's our grip. It's a carbon fiber fiberglass, and so we make that in-house. Wow. Ourselves, and not the weave pattern. We dye it now, and then we form it, and then we will actually harden it with the epoxies, and we'll shape it. So the thing about it is, it's hard, it's dense. So everything at Cashion is all details, right? It's the details about the experience, and our goal is these little details start to add up where you start to notice something a little bit different. And the grips are exactly part of that equation. Everything starts with a blank and our unidirectional process and making sure you fill everything. Well, then we go with micro guides on the icon. So we get more guides, we get more line to guide contact. There's a scientific reason behind everything we go with. Go with a higher modulus epoxy that we use so it doesn't soften or dampen vibrations as they travel down the rod blank. And that vibration, that travel of the harmonics of the vibration is all about from the line to the guide to the blank to your hand. And the grip is a huge part of that because it's hard, it's dense, it's going to transmit those vibrations, feel like a shock wave going straight into your palm. So and I can geek out on the details, right? That's the whole thing. And we're going to get there. But I know everything about the molecular level, like getting down into that. And so those questions are always the fun part for me. But that carbon fiber grip, it's hard, it's dense, it gets dirty, you just clean it off. It doesn't pick or chip or anything. So it's a solid another option, but there's a reason behind why we're incorporating it.
I love that. And I also love that you have the science behind this. Like, the grips, the funny thing about the grips, I'll say, is like, I was out on those grips. If I'm being completely honest and transparent, I was like, weave patterns, I don't like them. I didn't like wind grips, separate, totally different kind of thing. I still hate wind grips, but I was out on the weave pattern until Paul and I did a BFS versus ultralight, right, Paul? We were on the river. We waded the river, and I used Paul's BFS setup for the whole thing, and for like whatever 5-hour walk that we did. And it was after that trip that I was like, yeah, you know what? I was wrong. Like I actually kind of really like this. So at first I was totally out. So for anybody who's like, I don't know about these grips, I'll tell you from my perspective, I did not like them until I used it for a whole day. And like you're wading the river, so it was like it's dry for a little bit and then it's submerged for like an hour.
A lot of it.
So it works both dry and wet. It's fantastic. Big fan of those. You turn me around, man. Way to stick with it.
Well, dude, that's awesome. But man, that's the beauty about fishing, dude. Why you got so many options, and we'll talk about all that here coming up.
Yeah, mini clips asked, does carbon fiber add sensitivity versus cork? Love to get your opinion on that one.
Yeah, and that's where we're measuring the harmonics. So that's how we measure performance, is how fast a sound wave travels. Okay. And it does. It's hard, it's dense. Cork is just softer.
Yeah.
And that's what dampening materials do, is they will pull that vibration out. So yeah, it'll transmit, but again, it's what works for you. You know,
right.
We love carbon fiber at Cashion, and we can tell you why, but it still matters how it feels and fishes to you.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what's great about the Element series, because there are some differences, including the handle and
you got a choice,
the blank, but you do have a choice, and it's the same like approach with different materials, just like you were talking about. So I think you got options there. The one thing I will say, whenever you're thinking about sensitivity, if that's really important to you, this is coming from an ice fisherman. It is of supreme importance to me when I'm ice fishing. I
try to snag a bluegill. You ain't got a shot without.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be on your game, and but I mean, especially if you got gloves on, like that's automatically killing you. Anyways, I would tell you this: the way I think about sensitivity is usually this. If you think about your floor, if you were, and I'm looking at a concrete basement floor, if you were going to put flooring down, you would think, oh, what would make this less good? Like colder, harder. If you lay down a carbon fiber floor, would you feel more of the concrete underneath your feet? Yes, you would. Would you if you put a cork floor down, which you totally could, that would warm it up because you're just further away. There's more air and it's softer. So like, yes, that is going to transmit less of a vibration. So I was starting to think about it. If you got to jump on this concrete floor, which one are you going to feel the most? That's the one that's going to be the most sensitive. Because like people look at a foam grip and they'll to your face tell you it's better than plastic. And I'm like, it might be more comfortable for you. You may be happier. Right. You may have a better grip on it, all those things, but it's not less sensitive. Straight plastic is just pretty dang sensitive. It's just not as good, but it's pretty sensitive compared to like other stuff.
It's uncomfortable, but be really sensitive. So here's the hard-hitting question from Tree Hunter 1. Doesn't shy away from it. But is the sensitivity a difference that is noticeable? So Matt, like, first of all, I'll give you kudos for saying that you measure in harmonics, because what other rod company has the cojones to measure in harmonics? You guys do. So I'm interested to know this. Like,
not many.
Yeah, not many, right? Like the last time that anybody talked about that to me was Fish NFX, and they did the little like rod tip to the throat test where you can like get the sensitivity. I was like, oh man, it's a really cool trick. But since you guys measure this, have you compared like head to head to other rods in the market? Like how different is it?
Yeah, and how different is it? Okay, that is a great question, because you can quantify how different it is.
Right.
And when you just measure, let's just say just grips, okay? Well, you're only talking 5 to 10%. Okay.
Okay.
But all right, now let's throw in the blank. All right, you might get another 5 or 10%. Now let's throw in, if you're going from the line, because you know, you're not catching fish without line. You got to have that.
Not well.
And that not well.
Right.
And that line has to be connected to the rod. It has to go through line guides. Now, when you incorporate the micro guides, now when you incorporate the epoxies that we use from a finish epoxy because that's kind of important too. You're sitting out, and those epoxies can, especially in the summer, they can really soften. So we use a high modulus because each of those guide points could be basically a dampening opportunity to dampen vibrations. So you start to that's the thing. These little details, yeah, 5 to 10% doesn't sound like a lot or even noticeable to the hand, but now you start to build on those other details, and now the total package can be noticeable.
That's huge. So it's compounding a little bit. And given the opportunity, you guys, if you just have some friends, if you have some friends and somebody has a Cashion rod, like I had with Paul, I didn't have a Cashion rod. I got to use Paul's Cashion rod for the day, and you're able to put that head to head for yourself. Like, let's be real, that's the only time you're really going to believe it. But I do appreciate that Matt actually has like the science behind this. And let's be real, like there aren't that many rod companies other than allegedly Berkeley who are like putting science behind, or the word science attached to everything. But like, I love that you guys have done the measurements. And if you really think about compounding all those different components, it makes sense. So I would say if you guys don't believe Matt, who is a doctor, who has a PhD, who is very smart, then I guess go try it yourself. But I'm a believe Matt, and we will put him head to head because Paul, you and I, we both have like 6 of these Cashion rods from the higher end to the Element, so we can put them head to head. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
I would tell you right now, I always go back to ice fishing with stuff like this because there's a really expensive 13 fishing rod called the Archangel, and I got to use it. And
we have an not off-brand one. We have an Akuma one. Remember the Ice X? It's the same thing. It's carbon fiber handle, carbon fiber
through and through.
Plank, through and through.
It's only 2 pieces, not including the guides, but it's only 2. The whole thing's only 2 pieces, and then it's all carbon fiber. It's pretty unbelievable.
But it's awesome.
And I used it. I got to use it, and I'll tell you right now, I was using a $35, $30 Ice HT, one of those cheap ones. Great rod, don't get me wrong. For the money, it's awesome. I still use it, but they're not the same thing. I felt like a wizard. I was like, that was my wand. It was unbelievable, and it was a massive difference, and I mean massive. So.
That's a great testing ground too, because you're using like 2-pound test line. You're in cold conditions. Yes. You have layers potentially, at least like merino wool gloves. That might be the thinnest you go, but you got something in the way. And then, I agree because I also have that rod and we used it, and it's pretty wild.
It's unbelievable. Well, and I guess when I think about that, I do think about the whole system, because there are rods where, like, I think about the 6 cents rod that I have that has the same type of grip. It's not even anywhere near the same rod. Like, they're not in the same galaxy. Like, the Cashion is totally different. And so I think I think you make a great point, and I think it is a good lesson in, like, I appreciate hearing all this, because you can really see how you imagine somebody else who didn't have to build their business from the ground up, that has a bigger marketing budget and can make mistakes. I mean, I think that's the other thing about a small business. Like, if you have a mistake, it's a big problem. Like, you've invested in it, and it's a big part of what you do. If you are a large company and you're like, well, let's try making this, and then you don't do a great job because it's not as big of a deal if you screw up. There's a lot on the line. So one of my big questions for you was, like, when you guys have released the Element series lineups, and the reasoning behind that makes a ton of sense. With the Element series, just so everybody knows, you're getting a less expensive version, right, of this, like some less premium components, but all still made in the USA. Same type of concepts as are in the Icon lineups. Great looking rods, but they're saying we're going to do it at a value. That makes a ton of sense. But when you release like a kayak line of rods, which you guys do make kayak rods, right? And you guys are releasing the BFS rods, which are really specific. When you approach a project like let's say the Icon BFS that you guys released, which I love, when you approach a project like that, what makes you nervous? Is it like the marketing side? Like, did I pick the right type of rod to go after? Or is it like, did we design it perfectly? Because I know you're freaking out about both, but which one's like a bigger concern?
Yeah. All right. So we might have something new coming out in February.
That's like tomorrow.
See. All right. So what makes me nervous is maybe what we have coming in this year. We'll say first quarter this year. How about that? The
Okay.
BFS was a fun project. Like we were able to take our technology that we have in the icon, and we just saw an opportunity in the market to where there just weren't many domestic
Yes.
manufacturers, and it was kind of hard to get. And so it's just that those are fun projects. And you know, when you got Jeff and Paul talking about BFS so much, you got Bait Finesse Empire talking about bait, like it's just such a surge of energy around that
Yeah.
technique. And it gives guys something new to learn,
It's freaking fun,
which
man.
is cool, man.
Yeah.
It's abs
Yeah.
and I wish I could come up with a better word to describe BFS, but it is just fun. Like, like that, I
100%.
feel so I'm not very articulate when I describe BFS because that is the only word that comes out of my mouth. Because when else is catching a little 4 or 5 inch fish ever felt so much fun
It's
than
exhilarating.
that?
Yep.
Oh, it's
Yep.
awesome.
Every
It's
So
time
hard to beat.
absolutely
every
awesome.
time you luck into a catfish, I'm like,
You're
this
in
is
for a
the best
ride.
scenario
Yep.
I could have dreamed of. Like, it's the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Except for
awesome.
1 hour later. All right, now you get
Broke
it
off.
in.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
There goes my $20 Megabass tiny jerk
There it
bait. Oh
goes. That's
no.
exactly right. But yeah,
So how-
man. So releasing a series is much more. So we built the company on the Elite series, which was the yellow and black that some people might have remembered, and then the Icon was the next generation from that. We took what we learned from our customers, the feedback, and we just made the Elite series that much better in the Icon. And so, the element's been out for a few years now, and we've got that feedback. And dude, I can't, I mean, this show isn't about hyping it, but man, I am so proud of what is about to come. It's a whole series, and
oh,
I mean, it just looks amazing, performs amazing. So, yeah, but that makes me nervous. That's the part that when you release a whole new series versus just like the BFS, just man,
it's
it
kind of a
it
no-brainer.
almost, yeah, it's it like a no-brainer. It's
Designed itself.
exactly right.
Yeah. When
That's
that thing came
exactly
out,
right.
Jeff and I were just getting into BFS. We had kind of tested 4 or 5 different like budget type
Yeah.
models, and we were like, all right, we're gonna invest, right? We're gonna get we're gonna get some nice stuff, and we both kind of anticipated buying JDM product.
Sure.
Like that was kind of what we
Absolutely.
because it's out there, and we knew it
Yeah.
was nice, and Shimano, whatever, and we're doing all of our research. And you guys have just released the Icon BFS. You had the light, and I think it was a light and a medium light, or a
Hmm.
light. Yeah,
That's
I don't
right.
forget what it was. Yeah, and
Yep.
saw those, and then the other one was the Dobbins, and it was both like we both ended up being like I blown away, like blown away, and that was the mainstay. I mean, that has been the mainstay for like this whole time. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a no-brainer. The timing was insane. It was such a perfect time to release that.
It's classic us that's how we stepped into BFS. We're like, hey, we're gonna do this thing. Let's buy a Shimano Corrado with the BFS. With we got the Dobbins Sierra Ultra Finesse. So that was a $450 combo. Then you got the Icon and you got the Kestrel Elite from Cast King, which was $220 or something at the time. So both like $450 combos. We're like, yeah, sure, BFS. That's the thing now.
Nicest combo I had ever had.
It was the nicest combo period that we had ever bought, let alone BFS. We're like, yeah, sure, let's just go spend way more than we do on regular fishing gear. That was fun. Classic us. Oh man. We do have sad news in the chat. If I could find it, somebody had, there it is. Techwin Roberts. No, he's got a Cashion rod with a broken tip. That
hurts.
So painful. Paul and I have both.
There are no rod. My wife slammed a car door on 4 of them. So
4 at once was brutal. Paul sends me a text, sends me a picture, just no context, just like boom, and I just see 4 dead rods,
right angled.
Oh my god, that's so painful.
Yeah.
Feel
Yeah.
you, Techwin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Felt that. Absolutely. But I mean, that brings up our warranty, man. We got the best rod replacement. I'm proud of it. No questions asked. Just go to the website, complete the form. There's just a replacement cost. You fill that out. No questions asked, man. We'll send you a new one.
I was going to bring that up because that
I wanted to call him out.
That reminds me of the old days, though.
Yeah.
Like when I first started fishing, you could go to Gander Mountain and get insurance on your rod for $50 or $20 or something like that for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think I broke the same salmon rod 4 times, and they stood behind it, and I was like,
Yeah.
I can't even do this again. I'm buying another one because I feel bad. Like, they, and that stuff, that level of like, we're standing by our stuff and we'll put our money where our mouth is. That stuff is not around anymore, you guys. So that's just not what it was. So kudos to you guys.
Tail end of like Cabela's and Bass Pro merger, before they merged, I had when Ike came out with his like crazy purplish rod that was way overpriced. I bought one of those because I was like, yeah, I want to be cool. Had like a 3-pound bass went under my kayak. I folded it in thirds. The rod snapped into 3 pieces. I took it back to Bass Pro and I was like, just plopped, or Cabela's. I plopped it on the counter and they replaced it. And that's how I got switched out, man. So good warranties go a long way. They don't do that anymore. They do. We'll give you 10% off if you bring your broken stuff in.
Yeah, it's
the annual. I think it's around this time of year or something. You bring in your rods to Bass Pro, Cabela's, whatever. They get 10% off. Nice. So yeah, Techwin, if you heard the man Matt here, go do the warranty thing, man. Get yourself taken care of. No questions asked. Love it. All right. Did I hear Gander Mountain sale? Dude, I miss Gander Mountain.
I was like, honestly, I used to go to Bass Pro and Cabela's. Half the reason we do this is I would go into Cabela's with like moderate knowledge. I didn't know that much, but I would go in there and even I knew that everything in there was trash. I remember just looking around and being like, I'm standing in the fishing store. This is the fishing section of the outdoor store, and I don't want to buy anything. That's when I knew I was never going back, and I hated that place. And I literally can't go in there anymore because if I go and it will still happen. I'll be in there and be like, there's nothing here I want, and all I want is spend my money on is fishing stuff. If you got to do the sale, you have nothing to sell.
You got a problem. You got to do the rewalk. It's the Cabela's. I have deja vu aisles. I basically go up the aisle, and then I go back down the same aisle, and I'm like, did I miss something? And then I go back up the aisle again. And I'm like,
go back. The third pile of worms. Yeah, it's not.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there. All right, let's keep her moving.
Well, I got more. So I do want to say, I want to ask. I think there's a perception when you shop online a lot, like we all do now, where when someone has a good website, and that's how you learn about them and interact with them, you're experiencing their brand, and you're like, this brand must be huge. They have this massive selection of rods and stuff, and they make a great product, and they've got customer service and all that. Come to find out, a lot of these rods, like a company, it could be a tiny company. It could be 15 people. It could be 6 people doing all of that and making that happen and putting that brand forward. How big is the Cashion team? You talked about investing in your team. I know on your website, it's a big part of the sort of the mission statement is saying, our team is going to be a cornerstone of what makes this company. So how big is the team?
Yeah. So right now we've got about right at 30 full-time employees, and that's the whole part, is doing this together. So we went on that journey of entrepreneurial where you start to grow a little bit, no process, no procedure whatsoever. It is, I called it the wild west. It is get it done, right? And then you kind of got to step into, all right, well, dang, now we got to figure out how to train somebody. Now we might have to have a process. And
I need an SOP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of got to figure that whole game out.
Let's go back to $2,000 garage sales.
Right.
It was so much easier.
So that's been the journey that we've been on, man. Because I'm the entrepreneur. I'm the bull in the china shop kind of deal. Let's do it, and let's do it more efficiently. And because the problem I walk through the building, I know what everything cost. And so when I see $1 being wasted, I have to try to check myself and
take that
not
out of my kid's
focus
mouth.
Yeah, that's right. That's
That's
exactly
3 juice
right.
boxes right
That's
there. You
how
can't
it
do
feels,
that.
though.
Well, we
I
do
can
need
tell-
that for fishing on Saturday.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
When I was paying for college, the first thing I would do, so I paid my way through school. First thing I would do every single year, I'd sign up for all my classes with reckless abandon, 18 credit hours every time. You know, get in there, and then what I would do is I would take the cost for the whole year that I knew I was going to pay because I knew what my tuition bill was going to be, and I would divide that by the number of classes that I was going to go to for that semester, and I would figure out it cost me around usually around $200 per class. You want to know how many classes? You want to know how many classes I missed in college?
Not many.
If it wasn't for rugby, for
0.
travel, 0.0. I never missed class. 8 a.m. I don't care. Go out drinking. Nah, I'm at class. I will see
That's
you there.
expensive.
I'm gonna pay myself $200 to go to for the privilege of being here and taking notes. I kid you not, I did not miss a single class. And that
expensive absence.
I know exactly how that. I mean, you just
Yeah.
I pay for books. Watch a page get torn out. Just
Oh
no
yeah,
reason.
my dog ate my physics book. Not a joke.
I'd
Not
eat
a
the
dog
dog.
ate my homework. No, that was my little guy, Toby, man. May he rest in peace. But yeah, I can't. It was like I had him for 2 years. I came home after class one day, and my pair of Oakleys on the ground, shredded. Yes, and my physics book, $300 physics book, torn apart all over the apartment. I know.
That's what you get for taking physics.
I know, right? Should have done chemistry. I could have started making rods, competing with Cashion. I'm just saying.
My brother-in-law is also a professor, and he also works in coatings. And brother-in-law, and I cannot figure out. Like, were you just very good at? Were you? I was trying to figure out like what is he exactly. So he's my sister-in-law's husband. So I don't even know what that is. Anyways,
I don't think that's related to you at all.
Is that related to you?
I don't think it is.
I don't know if you can claim him.
That's
somebody that I know pretty darn well.
Okay, this one guy that I know is what that is.
He's a guy.
This is a guy whose kids I watch for all the time.
Fair
so
enough.
he like, I see him and I think immediately like, yes, you're a scientist. You weren't gonna be anything else. Like you were not gonna be. You had no hopes or dreams of setting hooks to make for money, none whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So you do though, and now I wonder like, how does one? Were you just very good at science when you were in high school, or were you like, no, I am built to be a scientist, and this is what I'm gonna be?
No, not at all, man. Not at all. I just got into college and I liked it and kind of gravitated towards it. Really no plan of it. I gravitate towards challenges. I love challenges. And that's where chemistry was the right amount of challenge. Physics was too much challenge. Engineering was too much challenge. Chemistry was the right amount of challenge for me.
Yeah.
And so it was just a kind of a good home for me.
What was the research you were doing? Do you recall?
Yeah, I do recall. Gosh, man, we were focusing on the let's see, the UV curing of pre-assembled and subassemblies at the molecular level. So basically things that self-assembled and came together.
Yeah.
We were looking at UV curing them. And so epoxies were actually a formulation of that type formulation. So
really,
that's cool. Yeah, it's been a minute, man. I saw my thesis. I guess it's in my office.
No way.
The other day, and I was like, "Dang, man, that's a world ago."
I was that smart.
Yeah.
So
right?
that UV curing, guys, like that's like when you turn the UV light on. Think fly fishing, right? They paint the paint the UV stuff on there. They turn the UV on, and that's what hardens it. And it's super fast, which is cool. So I remember they're doing that at the dentist. I'm like, why are you doing this flashlight? Right. This doesn't make any freaking sense. What do you do? Like the first time they didn't explain it. They were like, hey, this is a new thing. No, they were just like, boop. They're like, you're done. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's supposed to be here for another 2 hours. Like,
it was like 12 getting braces. And I was like, get out of my teeth with this nonsense. You're shooting lasers at my teeth. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah, that's cool, man.
I love it. All right. Well, I want to get a couple more hard-hitting questions in here and get your feedback on them. And then maybe we take some questions from the chat. Be respectful of your time tonight, Matt. We appreciate you hanging out with us. I I don't think we asked this one right here that I'm highlighting for you, Paul.
A little bit.
A little bit. All right. Well,
no.
let's do this one then. I want to know about testing.
So
Well, let's be real. That's the fun part. That's the fun. You're making a product. You got to put it to the test. You want to make sure, obviously, it works. That it works the way that you want to. What is like the Cashion testing process that you guys go through with your rods?
Man, so that has absolutely evolved too. So it used to be all, first you come up with a concept, and we would do that in house working with our pros. and that dynamic has kind of changed a little bit. But like John Cruz, you're always going to get John Cruz's input on everything, because he sees it from the market, he sees it from the lake, right?
Yeah.
In that professional setting. So that's first and foremost that you're always going to be. But now we're to a point where we've been able to hire a designer. So we have a designer in-house, full 3D printing type setup. And so, dude, we're printing stuff like today. Like what we've got coming out for iCast is going to really help elevate Cashion to where we need to be. Like, really focus on that innovation and that manufacturing to make sure everybody knows that, man, we do it here and we do it fast. So that has evolved too, as the company has evolved. We're designing stuff and printing it and putting it on rods, and we're doing it all within an hour.
Jesus.
It's amazing how fast that moves, man. So we've got some really cool designs for our own set of components that are going to be coming out.
That's what I wanted to ask about.
That's really
cool. What are
cool.
you guys actually making in-house then? Because you guys make the blanks in-house.
Yep, we do all the carbon fiber work. Right. And there's only a handful of companies that actually do that onshore here. So that does set us apart. And people ask, like, why why do it here? Well, one, that's what Cashion stands for. So our pillars are American made, superior quality, and our people, right? We're going to stand by American made for several reasons, namely control, 100% control. I hate to sound like a control freak, but man, I'm a control freak. Like, these rods have my name on them. And so it allows us to control every step of the process and every quality check in the process and implement those quality. We don't have to take what's shipped to us, right? If it doesn't work, man, we don't use it.
Hard pass.
Hard pass. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so plus the innovation piece, like, we can turn it so much faster. If we come up with an idea that's a good one, or we hear great feedback, from somebody, we can implement it and get it rolling that much faster. And our team just cares. I mean, that's just it, man. Like, in our job, you can't hire somebody who just comes in, clocks in, and checks out, right? They are 100% craftsmen. And so they have to care when they come in about the product that they're using and the end customer that's going to experience it. Because people go fishing because they want to, right? It's what you look forward to going and doing. And we're blessed enough and have the honor of building that product that people are going out there and they're excited about our product. That's where I feel sorry for the insurance guys, and no offense to all our insurance, but nobody likes paying that insurance bill, man. But
I'm mad about the one I'm going to pay next month.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But fishing, people are excited. Like, it's something that they choose to do. And so it's passion based, and man, that's what makes the relationship so much fun.
I love that. Getting team buy-in it takes something special to do that. You can't just like run a business and have people coming in. You hire somebody for an hourly position, and they're like, I will sweat and I will bleed for this company. That ain't happening. So yeah, it definitely takes something special, and that's really
30
cool
people. You can't hide.
Yep.
If everyone else has got it and you don't, we all know.
There is no hiding.
It's
Yeah.
not gonna hide in that
There
building.
is no hiding. And that's been part of the journey is this company alignment, right? We got to know who we are. We got to know what our mission statement is. We got to know what our vision. We got to have everybody pushing together. So we don't have to your
Yeah.
point earlier, we don't have resources to waste. Right. I can't
Right.
have somebody over here that dangling over here that's wasting time, wasting money, that's not
Mhm.
pushing our team. And to your point, you can't hide. Like if you're not pushing with us, that means we're pulling you. And we notice
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
man, we don't sit around and wait. I'll tell you that. This is my baby. I
We
absolutely
gotta
love it.
move. Yeah.
We gotta go, baby.
I love that. That's awesome. Keeping the momentum up. All right. So I gotta ask this, man. What's been your favorite project to date with Cashion? You guys have had a lot of lines, a lot of different lines of rods that you guys have built over the years. Some that are in the past now, but you've got a lot of awesome rods still available. Obviously, we just picked up a couple new lines that we're excited to test out. But what was your favorite project so far to date?
Yeah.
Let's say not the new one. The new one doesn't count. So prior to the new
No.
one, which we know you're excited about, and we are excited to find out about at ICAST this year. But prior to that, what's your favorite?
Well, the last one was the Element BFS rod. So we saw the just the explosion of BFS in Icon. And then the feedback from the industry and our partners was, man, we just want to give people an option because there is a difference between JDM BFS and American BFS.
Big time.
And we've talked about, hey, do we try to make that a term, American BFS? But there is a difference. And so we just really wanted to figure out a way, how do we give guys an opportunity to really enjoy this sport so much more, but are apprehensive about it? And so that's where we came out with the Element. The response has been great on the Element BFS. It's a 610 medium light and it's very versatile. I like it for single hook baits, just those micro single hook baits. I really like a light for any kind of moving type treble type bait, but the medium lights worked great for those single hook. And it was so fun because guys actually were thanking us for, man, thank you for giving me an opportunity to step in
Yeah.
without just breaking the bank on a $450 combo.
Easily.
Yep.
Yeah. And
that
that
makes
was
a
a
huge
game
difference.
changer. You know what question I get that I have? There's like 4 or 5 questions that I know I'm gonna get that they're hard to answer because
Affordable DFS
there's
rod.
not this like, because we get asked all the time, like, I have $138.14. What reel should I get? Like that's
give me a combo for
I answer these
138.
questions like daily, not daily, almost daily. And so, but the same question keeps coming up is like, I've got $100. Like, what BFS rod should I get? And I'll tell you right now, there's 2 or 3 JDM rods, like, or rods that are mostly sold in Japan, but still come here, but they're hard to find. There's a couple here. There are 2 JDM models, about 3 or 4 JDM models that I say, like, well, go get this. And they're really under 100. But yeah, like the Element, when you guys dropped that, it was like, this is the option I'm giving people. When they say, like, what's my dollar needs to go its absolute furthest, that is the answer now, because it beats everything else out. Like the way you guys had it marketed price point wise, but then quality wise, there's not really anything else there.
But previously, like it was Dobbins Sierra Ultra Finesse.
But that's an expensive. That was 190.
190. Yeah. So you can't just be like, yeah, sure, do that. And then the Mojo St. Croix came out with the Mojo Trigon,
like a year and a half old. That's not even
medium light. That came out later when we were getting questions. I mean, and then that one's also around, I think that's 185. That's like up there too. So we didn't have an answer for this. We'd be like, go to Bay Finesse Empire, ask them. They'll help you out. But
if it's available,
the Element changed the game for that. I believe for sure. I'm excited to finally actually get to use it more on the water. So, but yeah, we've got ours just sitting on the shelf here in Michigan with the ice. So we got to go ice fishing, Paul, this weekend.
We do.
All right. So we asked a hard hitting question at the top of the show, and we got to get an answer for it because we can't leave the show without it. So what ultimately, I guess the question is American made, as far as rods go, really better? Like, so in your opinion, Matt, you run an American-made company. I'm pretty sure I know your opinion on this. I'm going to add the extra question of, and why? So if you feel that it is better because it's American-made right there in North Carolina, if so, why? What do you believe if somebody's on the fence about grabbing an American-made rod over some just like low budget, mass produced other rod coming from overseas? What would you tell them?
Man, I actually love that question because it really gets to highlight what is awesome about our industry. You go into your local tackle shop or you jump online and you start looking at rods, there are umpteen million choices.
Yeah,
And dude, the customer wins. Like you win if you are willing to do your research
right.
and figure it out, man, there is the right option for you out there. And so man, there are so many great rods on the market. It's
Mhm.
just at Cashion, we do things different, right? And we can tell you why we do them. There is purpose, there is science behind everything that we do. And at Cashion, you can build a relationship with the people that are making the rods, that are selling the rods, that are promoting the rods. Like, we want to be a brand that you are proud to be associated with, man.
Yeah.
And so that is the difference. Like, are American made rods better? Man, it all depends on who's buying, like who's sitting in the buyer's seat, right? You
Great answer.
customer, do your research. Like it's
Yep.
out there, man. Now, a rod is a very personal choice, right? Like you,
Yep.
you go and you're going to pick it up and you're going to wiggle it, you're going to jiggle it, and you can tell, like,
Floor
when
test,
you're selling a
baby.
rod. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I love the
exactly
floor
right.
test, man.
The floor test, dude. I'm a big like that's how I
I,
load a
I love a good
blank,
floor test, you know?
100% every time. And then the guy's
Yeah.
sitting there, he's spinning the reel seat, spinning the
Yeah.
hood nut. You can tell he's thinking about it. He's like,
He's
"Oh
like,
man,
We're
do I really want to
90%
spin this?"
there. How mad is this
Yeah,
flight going to be?
do one of
that's,
these.
that's exactly right. But yeah, so American made, man, we're going to offer better customer service. In that, whether we were made in America, made wherever, like the customer matters in
Mhm.
providing that level of customer service. So yeah, at Cashion, we can tell you what goes into the rod, why we did it, and you can get to follow and be associated with a brand that is proud to be made here, that's proud to control what we do. Um, Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I had the most humbling experience of my professional career this past weekend.
Hmm.
And I don't mean to brag, but I'm a PhD, which stands for Pilot High and Deep. So I can talk it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I love what I do, so I can get
Yeah.
passionate about. But I was speechless this past weekend. A young couple brought in their newborn, and they had named their son Cashion after the rods. His
No
name
way.
is Cashion Taylor, and
Not
he's the
not icon.
cutest,
Come
not
on.
icon,
Come on.
not
Cashion
not
Icon Taylor. Missed
Cashion Icon
opportunity.
Taylor. But
It
man, you
rolls.
want to talk about
Yeah.
humbling?
Oh,
Like,
That's
holy cow,
wild.
the level of pressure that I felt, like, holy cow, we got to make sure we're doing right.
you get
Right.
back in that warehouse.
Yeah,
We
like
gotta
to
go. We gotta go.
support this young man, right? To make
Yeah.
sure that his name means something.
It's got
Wow.
to
And
now.
it's got to, man. So, and what I'm saying, the reason I share that
So
is
cool.
because we want to connect with our customer. We want to talk fishing with you. Man, we want to go on this journey of figuring out what is the right rod for you. And Cashion might not be the right rod, man. I mean, it really might not, because carbon fiber grips
Sure.
might not be your thing. You might not want a micro guide rod in this specific series. So,
Yeah.
dude, we care more about you getting on the water and enjoying it. Now,
Yeah.
we would love it if it was with Cashion, 100% we would. But it's more important
Yeah.
that you get on the water, you enjoy the experience.
That is such a great answer and a refreshing answer. Like that's the kind of answer I love to hear. It's like why should we go with you? Why should we choose you? And the answer should be, well, it depends, not you should go with me because I'm awesome XYZ. So you nailed it right there, sir. And also, I think DeBurley, the DeBurley hype man, our hype man here, he wants to know, does the kid get a job?
Yeah.
Like, is that guaranteed?
Right.
No college needed, no PhDs, no 9 years of college?
Absolutely not, man. He's stepping right in.
Hell yeah.
We'll put him on some ads or something, or he'll be in charge of product testing, like just whacking them against everything. 100%, dude.
Get your marketing guy right now. Marketing department, take notes. Get the baby, get the rod, have the kid fishing. You're gonna win. You're gonna win some sales right there.
You know what? You know, you're saying, the idea of like a rod being made here, like you could buy any rod. You're in contention for any one of those, whether it came from, Japan or Africa or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, the big differentiator is, hey, we not only do we work our butts off and we want to make this name one that you're happy to fish with, but we make a great rod because of the way we do it. And we chose to do it in a way we are here. This is us.
Yeah.
It's part of the DNA, and that is a benefit in of itself. It reminds me so much when I got my first fly fishing rod. It had I looked at the script when I was looking at the just the specs that are on the rod. And I'm like, damn, that looks like it was written by hand, but like the penmanship is beautiful, immaculate. And then I was like, how'd they do that? How'd they print that off? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched a video later on, and I'm like watching a guy with a paintbrush
like just
write that. And I still to this day,
that's cool, man.
I think back on that, and I think about that signature of someone writing 9 foot, 5 weight, whatever, and then the model number with his own hand in that way. I'm the only one that's got that one.
Yep.
He wrote the logo,
cool, man.
Drew the logo with a paintbrush. And I think there's something to be said for that. And when you're holding that, you guys, when you see these, especially the Icon series, this is my opinion. You're talking about the Captain Epoxy, who knows more about the chemical reactions that happen than anyone else. The big differentiator, the backdrop of the American flag on those rods, that rolled unidirectional carbon fiber with the finish is unlike any other rod. There's nobody else has a finish like this. It's 5D. You can see through the rod. I can see into another dimension every time I look into it. It is gorgeous.
I'm transported through time and space to another dimension.
Exactly. In any of those, do you see me catching a 10-pounder?
Yes.
In any of those dimensions.
It's in your future. It's in one of your future. Yes.
Hey.
Okay.
It's in one of them. But I got five of them to get through.
You gotta pick the right
and
you got it.
It's insane. Like that reminds me very much of that signature and the feeling that you get, like when I would pull that rod out of the rod tube and be putting it together, and I would see every time that guy, I think of like, some guy writing that down. I'm like, that's so cool. I get the same vibe with your guys' finish. Every time I see it, I'm like, that's exactly what it reminds me of, is that, or I can see the fly fishing rod, the Scott, 9 foot 5 weight. And I had the same thing with that Cashion rod. So kudos to you guys.
$700 fly rod.
It was.
Yeah.
No.
I
got it for $500.
That's what a steal.
I know, what a deal.
Bro,
and but again, to this day, like I can still see that logo, and it's a handwritten, the word Scott. And so they handwrite it when they make them. And I still get chills when I see that stuff. And I get the same vibe. And I think people should think of it I think it's a cool way to think about why would I buy
the American way.
No, because some guy from North Carolina made it
Busted
look
his
the way
ass
that
in
it
the
looks.
garage.
And I think
100%.
I think that's pretty
made
cool.
it happen, dude. That's the American way. USA.
Yeah. There
you go. Well, Matt, we really appreciate you being on. We're going to do this thing we like to call slow rolling thunder. We didn't prep you before the show. Why would we? This is the fun part of the show. Just some random questions. We actually pull all of our guests with the same questions.
We do.
And we keep running tally so that I can prove to Paul that my answers are better than his answers.
You're only ahead by like 6 or 7 out of 200 shows we've done. Oh, okay. No, it's not that far.
It's barely close. But yeah, we're just gonna ask you some just for fun questions. Chat, thank you guys for hanging out with us so much tonight. Like it's been a blast. Hopefully you heard some great stories from Matt. Hopefully you're gonna go check out Cashion Rods if you haven't yet. I know a lot of you guys already have Cashion because you've been pressuring me and Paul into getting Cashion Rods, and now we have them. But it was great getting to meet you, Matt, as well. Before we do Soul Ring Thunder, where should people be looking for you guys and waiting for what's next dropping for iCast? Yeah. Obviously, you can't tell us yet. I know, but where should they be looking for you? Social media wise, content, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the website, cashionrods.com, all the social platforms, Instagram, Facebook. And man, I'm not a great social media guy myself. Like I'm not on there a whole lot. So yeah, all those platforms. But again, we're still doing the shows, man. I hate we missed y'all. We were actually up in Novi this past weekend, Novi, Michigan.
Yeah, we missed that show.
Yeah.
That we wanted to be there.
Big venue.
Yeah, I was in California by the wildfires for a week. I was 12 miles south of the wildfires, man. It was nuts. Luckily, I was fine. Unluckily, a lot of people aren't fine. So there's, by the way, you guys, there's a lot of foundations right now out to support them. And then, obviously we've had multiple disasters this year. So it's not the only disaster. Don't forget the other ones that have gone down this year, which was Hawaii, Tennessee, North Carolina. You guys had one, right? All over the place we've had stuff. But anyway, support others wherever you can if you are capable of doing that. I'll just say that because I was right next to that stuff going on. But I got back super late Saturday. So I missed the whole show, and Paul and I were talking about going, but yeah, we couldn't make it happen, unfortunately. But we'll see you at iCast this year. If you're going to be at iCast, you personally will be there. Yeah.
Yep. I don't know if you guys will go to the Bassmasters Classic. That'll be down in I think it's Dallas this year. Dallas,
maybe
ish.
Reason to go to Texas, Paul.
That's a really good reason to go.
That's a really good reason.
It's a really good reason.
Dude, those shows are so worth it for us. We get so much content out of there. It's basically free videos that do really well on our channel. So if we can make an excuse to do it, we'll do it. But at the very least, iCast is certainly on the board. We go there every year now. We made a commitment. We missed 1 year and we were like, never again. Literally never again. We're going every single year. So we'll at least see you there. Maybe also Bassmaster Classic, which would be really cool. So let's do some Slow Rolling Thunder, you guys. We're going to roll on out of here. We got a couple questions for Matt. So Matt, question, you go out in the water. I'm assuming you're wearing some form of sun protection. Do you wear a sun shirt? Sun shirt?
I'll wear a sun shirt. Yeah, sure.
Okay. When you wear a sun shirt, you go grab it off the coat hanger, right? You're like, are you reaching for one with a hood or without a hood?
Yeah, 100% hood.
Yes, another one for me. Let's go, Paul. Get out of town. Paul doesn't like hoods. This has been a running gag.
Hoods.
No, I like hoods. I'm wearing a hood. I just don't like hoods on my fishing shirts. I like the crew neck.
Yeah.
Every time it's a hood only, I'm like, son of a, because you end up having 6 hoods in the Midwest. And I don't need that.
We do
I just have a hat, so I don't even use the hood. I never use the hood. I cut them all off. It doesn't make sense.
I love the hood.
Really? So all right, what about your neck? What do you do with the neck and those ears?
What about it? I have to wear SPF 50,000 anyways. I basically rub it in a hood on my neck every time. So
so you're putting it on regardless whether you have the hood or not. You still wear it.
He's very pale.
I am a ghost.
Okay.
You can only see me because of external lighting right now. Yeah, it's not
I got you. What size are those ears? What size are those ears, Paul? Under those earphones?
Give him a little gigantic.
Yeah, you could hear everything, can't you? You could hear
he's
from North Carolina.
That's right.
Yeah. He really, dude, he has to layer up. I tell you what, in the science department, you could see veins. They would use him to show those anatomy students.
You don't need a cadaver. I'll just
they're just like, hey, look at this. It's bad. All right, next question. They're only the hard-hitting ones here. What would you say? And this question has evolved over the years because we used to be hardcore into Crocs. We're like Crocs or die, baby.
Ask them a question.
I'm gonna ask a question.
You already told me.
I'm gonna tell my previous answer. It's changed over the years, but now it becomes a research-based question. Really so, what would you say is the best fishing footwear? You're on a boat, you're on the bank, wherever. What is your go-to fishing footwear?
What do they call those? I mean, extra tough style. What do you call those type boots?
The deck boot.
Deck boots.
Deck boot. Yeah, deck boot. Yeah, I'm
Love the
100% a deck boot guy every time.
Oh,
Nice.
do you go with the extra tough? Is it just like you
That's
grab
the
it and you
deal?
don't think about it?
I go with the extra tough. I go with the started going with the sport. I think it's called the sport. It's got the extra padding in it. Because on my bay boat, the bass boat, we've got extra padding on the deck. But on the bay boat, there is, it's just deck. So, yeah, I go with the extra tough sport.
We have
extra
become
padding.
Yeah, we've become converts. Last year at ICAST, we hooked up with Under Armour. They gave us like some sample deck boots, not even like retail release ones,
They were
but
early release. Yeah,
dude, I've been beating those are winter boots for me right now.
I use them for everything,
They work, right?
bro.
Yeah, I wear them
Everything.
everywhere.
You slip in them. Absolutely.
I moved
I'm a
my whole
convert.
house with a torn bicep in those and never even thought to take them off.
Nope.
Yeah. Now, what did the torn bicep have to do with the boots?
You want to know how many awkward steps I was taking? It sounded like a basketball team if I had to move something in my house. Like, it was insane.
What?
That's awesome,
very short story. What happened to Paul is he tried to move a refrigerator by himself.
I did move
truck.
it. It was moved.
No, you moved it. You tried to move it to your other house.
It got into the truck. It got into the truck.
It did, and then it had to leave because it crushed you to death. But anyway, so he dropped a refrigerator. He tried to catch it, which is a silly move, and he tore his bicep. So yeah, he's been repairing for a while. Which, by the way, Paul, like, what would you say your healing process is right now out of 10? 10 being you're fully healed. Where would you feel you are?
Yeah, like 8.
You're an 8?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
okay.
You're ready to set hooks.
He's on. Yeah, he is.
Oh,
he
yeah,
is.
yeah.
He's itching for it, man. He lost out on the tail end of the season.
Arguably best or second best part of the bass fishing year. Yeah, sucks.
We could have had a lot of fun, but I had fun instead, so too bad. All right. Should we do one more? Let's do one more.
Yeah.
Which one should I do? 3 or 4 here, Paul?
You tell me. I like 3.
All right, let's go with this one. So, in your opinion, Matt, what is the worst? And we like opinions on the show. That's actually what it's all about. What is the worst Girl Scout cookie flavor?
Oh, wow. Yeah, man. I'm not a peppermint kind of guy.
Oh.
At all.
Oh, whoa.
Just never been.
I thought we were going to be like buds. I guess.
Does that include Thin Mint? Are we saying Thin Mint? Because they have a peppermint cookie. Are we talking about peppermint or Thin Mint or both?
Oh, no, Thin Mint. That's what it is. I am not a Thin Mint guy. I've just never been a mint guy at all. I don't like mint.
You ever put them in the freezer? It makes a difference. Just saying.
All right, man. Hey, you might have converted me.
Try to sell them
carbon fiber grips. I'm going to give it a shot now.
Fair's fair.
If
I get addicted to these Thin Mint cookies, Jeff,
back to me. I'm sorry.
I'm blaming you. My
bodybuilding is not going to be working out. You're getting nothing.
Bodybuilding instructor John Cruz is going to send you a very sternly worded email.
Yeah. I'll take it.
No, he'll be on a tournament in St. Clair and stop by your house.
Uh-oh. I'll be like, you want any Thin Mints, man? I'm selling.
Yeah, I think the one.
Don't you get him addicted to? Don't you do it, Jeff?
All right.
That's a crazy answer. I've never heard it. Never expected to hear it.
It's usually the opposite. Like Thin Mint is usually a go-to. Samoa's is a go-to.
Oh, tags. Someone said tags are the worst. I can't believe it.
Shortbreads. Shortbreads are the worst.
People talk trash about shortbreads and the toffee. I have a problem with that because I'll tell you, as a father now, drink a lot of coffee, and those are great with coffee. They are better than the other options with coffee. As a standalone,
you have to drown the cookie to make it.
You really do. You got to drown it. You got to sink it in
with a new flavor. Exactly. All right. Well, anyways, that's all we got for tonight, you guys. Matt, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for sharing all the stories and the journey of the entrepreneur, which more Americans need to know about because it's a tough journey. Not everybody gets handed $1 million to build a business. You didn't, but you did get $2,000 from your dad, and I hope you thank him every single day.
Yes.
That's how it goes, man. But yeah, we appreciate you, and we'll definitely be seeing you at ICAST, if not also in Texas for Bassmaster Classic. Chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. You guys are fantastic. We're glad to be back, both of us back on a podcast. It's been a week since I've done a podcast, so I'll get warmed up. I'll get better at this job again, and then we will see you guys next week. Chaz, take us out.